Oh, I'm live. Okay. I got my thing. I had my thing up too high. I couldn't see. I'm looking at his hair. I don't like it. But at any rate, hi everyone. Welcome to Tax Talk with Gwen. For those who don't know, my name is Gwinnetta Wright, otherwise known as Gwen, and I just want to dive right into the topic. So today we're talking about how much you actually get for your dependents. Why are we talking about this? Because I get so tired of seeing people make posts in reference to, you can get 10,000. I don't know what they be saying. 10,000 for one child, 12,000 for two kids, 14,000 for three kids. I don't know where they be getting these numbers from, but I just want to make sure that you understand like how each credit works in reference to your dependents, because a lot of times when you come into the tax companies, you just assume that your refund is supposed to be a certain amount because you are looking at what other people are posting in reference to the amounts you are supposed to get back for your dependents. And it's so many different things and variables that go along with how much you're going to get back for your dependents. Just because you got dependents do not mean that you actually are going to get a refund. Okay. And it's happening a lot lately. A lot of people have dependents and they're still owing the IRS. And so I just want to kind of talk about why. So before I get deep into it, if you're watching the replay, you're watching now, make sure that you drop in the comments where you're from, because I like to see where everybody's watching me from. If you have a small business, make sure you drop in the comments like your website link, your Facebook link, your business name. Drop something about your business in the comments. Okay. So whether you're watching replay, you're watching right now, definitely drop your information in the comments. So let's get to it as far as discussing like what you're supposed to get for these dependents. So first off, it's three credits, primary credits that you get for your dependents. You have the earned income tax credit, you have the child tax credit, and you have the child and dependent care credit. So we're gonna start with what I call the one that gets you the most money, which is the earned income tax credit. So yes, the earned income tax credit is still the bigger credit. A lot of people think that the child tax credit is like this credit that you're gonna get a whole lot of money for, and it's really not. It's still the earned income tax credit, which is the one that help a lot of people get larger refunds. Now, with the earned income tax credit, this is where you can claim your dependents if they're 18 or younger. Mind you, you are legally supposed to claim your dependents if they're 18 and younger. Unless they're providing support for themselves, which rarely that's happening. You have that more so today that, some kids making a lot of money, but for the most part, if they're 18 or under, they're not taking care of themselves. You are supposed to claim your dependent, whether or not they work or not. So that's a requirement for the earned income tax credit. Then you have if your dependent is 19 to 23 and a full-time student. Then, yes, you can still qualify for the earned income tax credit, with your dependents being those ages. But what don't qualify you for the earned income tax credit could be your income. So the earned income tax credit has a phase out amount, and the phase out amounts are different based off your filing status. It's also based off how many dependents you actually have, right? So for each dependent, there's a maximum, not a dependent, but the amount of dependents you have is a maximum amount of earned income tax credit you can get. This is the maximum amount you can get for this credit, meaning you can't get a dollar over that. But in order to get the maximum amount, you have to have a certain income level, which I call the sweet spot. Like if your income is in the sweet spot, then you get the maximum amount. If your income is not in the sweet spot, then just depending on where your income is, you still can possibly qualify for the earned income tax credit, but you're just not going to get the maximum amount. So the maximum amount for the earned income tax credit is one child, $3,995. For two children is $6,604, and for three kids is $7,430. Now remember, again, your income has to be in the sweet spot in order for you to qualify for the maximum amount of that credit. So the more that you go over the sweet spot, the less of the credit you get or qualify for. The less amount that you make under the sweet spot, the less amount of that credit you qualify for. Now, there's other variables to that as well, but that's how it works. So when people be saying or advertising you get such and such for 1, 2, and 3 dependents, nobody can tell you that because nobody don't know your income. They don't know your income, and your income is based off that. And not only that, if they don't know your income, they don't even know if you qualify for the credit. So again, just because you have a dependent does not mean that you are due a refund. Now, the earned income tax credit is a refundable credit, so you get that money dollar for dollar. But mind you, in order to get all of what you qualify for the earned income tax credit dollar for dollar, you cannot have a tax liability, meaning once you do all your above line deductions, your standard deductions, your non-refundable credits, you have to have zero to get the full amount. Your tax liability has to be zero for you to get the full amount of this credit. Now, if your tax liability is not zero and you get this credit, whatever your tax liability is deducted from the amount you get from this credit. And that's how you come up with your refund. So that's why it's kind of hard for anybody to tell you like how much you're going to get for your dependents, because it's too many variables in there, right? And so with the earned income tax credit, you can only claim up to 3 dependents. You cannot claim more than 3 dependents or get credit for more than 3 dependents when it comes to to the earned income tax credit. Good morning, Takesha. Okay, so that's the earned income tax credit, right? That's the dollar amount. The max amount is $7,430 for 3 dependents. So you got to think about why is people saying that you can get $10,000, $12,000, $14,000 for 1, 2, 3 dependents, when the maximum amount for the earned income tax credit for 3 dependents is only $7,430. They need to make it make sense. But this is why I'm trying to educate you. Now, good morning, Crystal. You also have the child tax credit. Now, we are, waiting to see if the government is going to do something retroactive on this particular credit. But I can tell you this. Initially, when they proposed the credit, some of us was assuming that they was gonna run it back to the credit they had in 2021, which a lot of you was waiting out because you was thinking you was about to get a lot of money for the child tax credit. But what they have proposed to Congress, it ain't that. You waiting for nothing. I ain't gonna say you waiting for nothing, but you shouldn't even wait. Because they're not going to make it a refundable credit like they did in a full refundable credit like they did in 2021. It looks like it's possibly still going to be up to $2,000, and so right now it's up to $2,000, with $1,600 of those $2,000 possibly being refundable, and then the other $400 is non-refundable. But understand this with the child tax credit. Just because it says up to $2,000, so that doesn't mean that every person is going to get $2,000 for their dependent. Okay, that's not necessarily how it works. You're not gonna get $2,000 for every dependent. Depends on what your income level is and what your tax liability is. But not only that, what a lot of people don't know is, again, it's a non-refundable credit. So it depends, again, on your tax liability. And then if you meet a certain criteria in your tax liability, or your tax liability is reduced, then it could turn into the additional child tax credit, which becomes the refundable portion. But it's a lot of scenarios in there. So a lot of you think when you come file your taxes, you just automatically think like, okay, the child tax credit is $2,000, so I know I'm about to get $2,000 for each one of my dependents. So you just think automatically you're going to get $6,000, and that's not how it works. So it has to be. It's up to $2,000. It's also determined by, again, what your tax liability is. So, for example, a lot of you all are not having taxes withheld. So, you think that you're not getting the child tax credit when you really are. Like, you're getting the credit because that's what it's called, a credit. You're getting the credit for that particular dependent. But if you have a tax liability, they take that credit back and apply it to your tax liability. So that's why you possibly don't see those dollars in your pocket, because because it depends on whether you had a tax liability or not. And when you're making, I want to say like 30 plus, and you didn't have any taxes withheld and you got dependents on your taxes, well, what ended up happening is the child tax credit, you get it, but it's eating up the money that you would have had to pay the IRS. So, again, it's up to $2,000. It depends on whether or not, again, what your tax liability is. The qualifications for it is your dependent has to be under 17. So that means that they turned 17 in the tax year, which is this tax year is 2023, then you no longer qualify for the child tax credit. And that confuses you all because a lot of you still qualify for earned income tax credit. And then you be thinking you don't need to claim your 17-year-old or 18-year-old. But you really should, because you might get earned income tax credit for them. So it's just a lot of confusion around that particular credit. Now, when they're over the age of 17, they don't get this child tax credit, but you possibly can get like the other dependent care credit, and that is like up to $500, but that's fully non-refundable. So what ends up happening with that is if you have a tax liability, it reduces your tax liability up to $500. And then if you actually paid some taxes, had some taxes withheld, then again, it reduces your tax liability. So it depends on how much you paid. Then it might put $500 of the money that you paid in your pocket. That's how that works. Now you have the child and dependent care credit, okay, which is child care, the child care credit. So the child care credit is non-refundable. That means you do not get any of that money in your pocket. What that particular credit does is it reduces your tax liability as well. Now, if you don't have a tax liability, then you don't qualify for the credit. So, good morning, Kima. That's why a lot of times when you go file your taxes and your tax pro might tell you, okay, you don't need the child care paperwork, and the reason why is because you're not gonna have a tax liability. So because you're not gonna have a tax liability, that's not even required to be utilized because you don't get none of that money back. Now, if you do have a tax liability and you paid some money into taxes, of the money withheld, I'm sorry, y'all. The federal taxes withheld, then what's going to end up happening is the child care credit will help you get some of that money you pay into the IRS back. And so the amount that you can claim for that particular dependent is up to, as far as expenses, is up to $3,000 for one dependent, up to $6,000 for two or more dependents. And the amount of the credit that you can get. Good morning, Latasha. I was looking for you. Stay at it, Latasha. Okay, so the amount of dependents that you can claim, expense you can claim for the child care credit is $1,050 for up to $1,050 for one, $2,100 for two or more. But again, it's a non-refundable credit, and if you don't have a tax liability, then you won't utilize that particular credit. So when you add all of that up, right? So just say you add all of that up, right? So say you got one dependent, you in the sweet spot for you in the sweet spot for the EIC, okay? Say you qualify for the $2,000 for additional child tax credit. That means you're at $5,995. And if you had the sweet spot for the earned income tax credit, I can tell you you're not going to qualify for the child care credit. So that's what your refund is, $5,995. Now it can be higher than that depending on whether or not you had some taxes withheld from your wages. But when you look at these signs that says, okay, you're going to get $10,000 for your dependent, it don't even make sense. One dependent, it don't even make sense because the maximum amount of each credit don't even add up to that. So, a lot of times while you're not getting money for your dependents, or is one, you might be over the income wages, the income limits for particular credits, or you did not pay any taxes or had any federal taxes withheld. So your credits are eating up your tax liability to keep you from owing, and you might get a refund, but it's just a smaller refund. So there's not a one size fit all type of thing when it comes to how much you get for your dependent. As you can see, it's a lot of different factors that take place, and a lot of things I didn't even mention, like, you have to have a relationship, some type of relationship when it comes to like the child tax and the earned income tax credit. You have to have, I don't know about the child tax credit, but yeah, relationships, because they have to be a qualified dependent. You have to have, it depends on your filing status a lot of times, sometimes with the credits. And like with child tax credit, one thing that is often asked is if someone is on Social Security and they don't have any earned income, can they file a dependent? And the answer to that is no, because the earned income tax credit is based off and calculated based off earned income. So that means no unearned income. That means no unemployment, no retirement pay, no Social Security. All that is unearned income. So you won't qualify for the education, the earned income tax credit for that. And then right now, they might be making some adjustments with this proposal, but right now, in order for you to qualify for the child tax credit, you have to make at least $2,500 in earned income tax credit, not earned income, in earned income. So that's why people who just have Social Security can't just claim their dependents, because they're not going to get any money back because they don't qualify for these particular credits. Everything has criteria and requirements, and you have to meet certain tests in order to qualify for these particular credits. Good morning, Donna. So I hope that helped y'all a little bit, especially my new filers who possibly was told that if you have a baby or you got kids that you get a big refund. I just did a return earlier today. Because I started doing tax return at 5 o'clock this morning. I just did a return earlier today. The taxpayer, like, the W-2 is on like $5,000. She got 3 dependents. Her refund is $2,900. She got 3 dependents. So in her mind, she probably would think like, oh, she got 3 dependents, her refund should be big. No, it's not big. Good morning, Cynthia. It's not big because she only made $5,000. So because she only made $5,000, the credits that she's going to get is only $2,900. I don't say only $2,900 because that's still decent. Any money is good money. But $2,900. So did I do something wrong to her taxes? No, I didn't. That's what you qualify for. So that's literally how you qualify, or how you know the amount that you're going to get for your dependents. So when you get your taxes done, if you just kind of like want to know like what you qualify for or why your refund is a certain way, then ask your tax pro. They should be able to break down to you what you qualify for, and how your refund was actually calculated. Now, if you ain't paying no taxes, the refund's low. You ain't paying no taxes. I had no taxes withheld. A lot of y'all owe. I don't care how many dependents y'all got on there. Y'all just owe. But anyway, let me get my life started. But if you're looking for a tax pro this tax season, definitely check us out at Xpert Tax Service. We are accepting new clients. It doesn't matter if you're out of state. You can submit your information to us online at www.experttaxservices.com. Again, one thing that we do for our clients is if you get your taxes done with us, we put you in a drawing where you can win up to $500 every single week. Up until the end of tax season, we do our first drawing on Friday. We're definitely educated in taxes. We believe in helping you reduce your tax liability, maximizing your deductions so that you can possibly get a larger refund, and then saving you as much money as possible in taxes, whether we're going to owe them or not, but making sure that you are saving money in taxes and that you know what you qualify for. Again, if you would like to allow us to do your taxes or want us to do your taxes, definitely go to our website at www.experttaxservices.com. And before I leave, let me say this. It's January 31st. And because it's January 31st, W-2s and 1099s and tax documents have to be out today and go in the mail today or sent out today. So in the next 2 weeks, it's going to be a massive amount of people trying to get their taxes done. Understand, it's rarely a time that you can just get your taxes done instantly. Okay, unless you're going to a tax pro who don't got no clients. Okay, your tax pro, you're not their only client. Right? And like for me, we do our returns in the order that we receive. In order for you to get a quick turnaround time, the best thing for you to do is make sure you send all your documents, upload your ID, make sure you have your direct deposit information, your social security card if you're going to want a cash advance. Make sure you upload all of that stuff at one time. That helps us get a quick turnaround to get your tax return complete. And lastly, if you know you submitted your tax return to a tax company, answer your phone. I know we be having a lot of spam people calling us, but if you know you submitted your information to a tax pro virtually, answer your phone. Check your text message. Check your email. We cannot get your file complete if we cannot get in contact with you. Okay? So y'all have a blessed day. I'll see y'all next week, and I hope y'all get those refunds that y'all want. Bye.